Grand Rising family, joyous rising, great rising, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Hello and welcome, family. It is Tuesday, April 15th, the deadline for people who believe in filing taxes for tax filing. It is April the 15th, 2025, and the time is 10:58 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome, family. Today, I just wanted to answer questions. So, if anybody has questions that they have or anything that they'd like to bring to the Soul family to discuss, this is the day we're going to do that because I've had a whole lot of discussions offline and questions asked about the RV. Is it time for a revaluation of currencies? What does the RV mean? What is a global currency reset? Where can you buy currencies? If we think it's time for the RV, I mean, I've had lots of questions. Is NESARA real? What is GCR? What's happening in all these different countries? And all sorts of questions as it relates to geopolitical news and financial news, global economic news, etc. So check in, family. Let us know where you're hailing from. It's so good to be here. I was actually in Columbus, Ohio over the weekend for Passover, celebrating the Passover because I am Hebrew. For those of you who don't know, I'm from the Hebraic bloodline. I've kept the Jewish holy days or feast days since I was a child. I abide by the dietary laws. I've never had pork or any unclean meats or foods ever in my life. If I did taste it, it was by mistake. So it's because that's the way I was raised. So I brought that up because I celebrated Passover with my family in Columbus, and it was amazing. This is considered deliverance season because it is the time where the children of Israel were delivered from slavery in Egypt. So when you know the biblical story, you know that the story is that the Hebrew people or the Jews were enslaved to the Egyptians, even though some historians say that story never happened. I'm telling you the story that was written in the Bible. They were enslaved to the Hebrews, or Jews were enslaved to the Egyptians, and God rose up, the God of the Hebrews, because there are many gods, right? But the God of the Hebrews rose up a prophet by the name of Moses and told Moses to deliver the people and let his people go. Moses then went to Pharaoh, who was the king or the emperor of the time, and told him, like, my people have been enslaved to you and your people and your family for a lot of years, and it's time for them to be delivered. Well, when you know the story, you can look at the Prince of Egypt. Pharaoh didn't want to let the slaves go, right? Because he was like, you guys have been serving me for a long time. You know, this is what you do. I am the king. You don't tell me to let you go. And so God spoke to Moses and said, sometimes you have to let people see that you are mightier than they. And because I raised you up as a prophet, I'm going to give you a series of gifts and tasks to perform in front of Pharaoh to let him know that you're mightier than he and mightier than his magicians because of me. So as the story goes, Pharaoh heard Moses, and Moses said, well, you're not really hearing me. You hear me saying that God sent me to let my people go, but you're not letting my people go. So Moses performed a series of different tasks, or a series of different, what do you call them? Performances, where he put his staff down because he used to carry a rod or a staff, and it turned into a snake. And then Pharaoh's magicians did something where they put their staff down, and their staff, also turned into snakes. So they kept just going one for one, doing different things. And then finally, God said, I'm going to plague these people, these Egyptians, because they don't believe that I've sent you to deliver the people. So he did a series of several plagues, and the final plague was the plague of death of the firstborn child. And the reason why the plague of death of the firstborn male child was so powerful is because back in those times, the first child actually was the one that carried on the legacy for not only the king before a man, and particularly the first male child carried on the legacy for the king and for the man in any dynasty or any household. So when the God of the Hebrews said, if these people, these Egyptians, don't let my people go, because in the Bible, the Hebrews or the Jews are God's chosen people. I'm talking about the biblical story. I'm not saying I believe in this or I support this. This is the biblical story. This is the tradition. This is how I was raised. I believe all God's people are amazing. They're mighty. They're beautiful, and they matter. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. Everybody matters. We all come from source. Okay, so we're all amazing. But the biblical story states that the Hebrews were God's chosen people. And since the Egyptians, according to the story, would not let the people go, this last plague of the death of the firstborn was very scary. And so the Hebrews were instructed to kill a lamb and take the blood of the lamb and put it on the doorpost above the door. And so when the death angel came through the towns of Egypt to annihilate or to destroy or to take out the firstborn male child, as long as you had the blood applied to the door, the death angel would pass over you. That's how we got the word, the festival being called Passover. Luckily for the children of Israel, they lived in Goshen. Goshen was a town that was just for the slaves, but you still had some Hebrew Israelites or Israelite people, whatever you want to call them, Jews that lived actually outside of Goshen. Most of them lived in Goshen. So typically the death angel would have passed over them anyway, because the death angel wasn't looking for the Hebrew people. But consider that some of the Egyptians also lived in Goshen. It's just that most of the Hebrews lived in Goshen. So he was coming after the firstborn of the Egyptians. So even if the Egyptians had the blood applied to their doorposts, the death angel would pass over them because he was just looking for the blood. And that's why we sang a song, when I see the blood, I'll pass, I'll pass over you. So this was a period when the 10 plagues were being released to inside of the Egyptian country, that it was so horrific. You had flies, you had cattle dropping, you had water turning into blood, you had all type of things happening. But the final blow was the death of the firstborn male child. Now, when that happened, most of the Hebrew people lived. Their children weren't smited or killed or murdered with the death angel visiting them, because they had blood applied to the doorpost. But that was enough to wake up the Egyptians and to say, we want these people out of our land. They got to get out of here. Okay. And then Moses led the Hebrew people, or the Jews, out of Egypt into the promised land. Before they went into the promised land called Canaan, the land flowing with milk and honey, reminds you of America, right? This is where everybody wants to go. It's the land flowing with milk and honey. It's the land of opportunities. People from all over the world want to and do come here. Their mama, their grandmama, their grandpappy, the children, the everybody wants to come to America. America represents Canaan land, and some people say it's the same thing. So Moses led the children of Israel out of Egypt, out of slavery, into Canaan land. But before they went into the promised land, they spent many, many years in the wilderness, traversing through the wilderness, going through the forest, going through the woods, going through trials and tribulations, still having children, still going through life. But the biblical story and the text state that the reason why this 3 days journey through the wilderness into the Canaan land, promised land, took 40 years was because the people were complaining. And the people were asking Moses, why did you deliver me from from slavery? Why are you saying you're taking me into the promised land and it's taken so long? You should have just left us in bondage, where at least we had meals and at least our homes were free. At least we didn't have to pay for anything. Now you got us out here in the wilderness eating berries. So the people were complaining. But eventually Moses called out to God and said, they don't want to eat these berries, They want you to drop something magnificent from the sky. So God released what is called manna. Now, if you study monoatomic gold, which is real gold, scientists say that the monoatomic gold that many people eat and take for their health now, that I get from the Meta Center Chicago, it is the manna that God released. So when Moses cried out to God, he released something called manna. And the real definition for manna is, what is it? Because the people didn't know what it was. Was it a wafer? Was it bread? What was it? But when they ate it, they felt empowered, they were sustained, and they felt really good and vibrant, and it was enough to make them satisfied for the most part. But people, you can't be satisfied with just manna. They're going to complain about something. Say, we want more. We want more things. So Moses cried out to God, the God of the Hebrews. He said, I gave them manna, and I poured down so much of it that they had to gather it up for 6 days, and it was enough for the seventh day. I did not allow it to rain down from heaven on the seventh day, because the seventh day is the Sabbath, and I rest on the Sabbath. So then they started complaining, we want more. And so God released something called quail. And then so they ate manna and quail, and they drank water. When they kept complaining, they want something, they want more, they want a better life. Hurry up and get me out of this wilderness. Moses got mad. He smote the rock, or hit a rock, and water came bursting from the rock, and they drank the water from the rock. This is why during Passover, certain Jews don't drink wine. They actually drink water, because when Moses smote the rock, water came out. And because when they pierced Jesus in the side, forthwith came out what? Blood and water. So I came from the line of the Hebrews that acknowledged the Old Testament, where the children of Israel were delivered from slavery and went into the promised land. And they celebrated Passover because the death angel passed over them during deliverance season, which is also new year, springtime, a new season, a new opportunity, new life. It comes into your reality. Flowers are blooming, etc. But also, some people call us Messianic Jews because we also celebrated the Christ, who was actually killed on Passover. He was the Passover lamb that was killed. His blood was applied to the doorpost of your heart. And when he was killed, the soldier pierced him in the side, and forthwith came blood and water. So when I used to celebrate communion, you would drink water for communion, and you would take the wafer, or the body, the unleavened bread. And you would do this because it commemorates the death, burial, resurrection of the Christ. And also it commemorates when the children of Israel were coming out of Egypt. And remember, I talked about unleavened bread. The reason why people who celebrate Easter actually eat the wafer or unleavened bread is because it actually comes from Passover. The children of Israel were escaping out of Egypt in the Old Testament, and they were rushing. So they were baking bread in the oven, but they were rushing, and the bread didn't have time to rise, because you used to have to let the bread rise for a certain amount of time. It took time for it to rise. It didn't have time to rise. They had to hurry up and take the bread, take everything, borrow from the Egyptians, or take stuff from them as they were leaving Egypt and slavery into the promised land. There's a reason why I'm going through all this. So all of my childhood, I kept the Passover and all of the Hebrew holy days prescribed in Leviticus 23. I acknowledge and understand and overstand the Old Testament version and the New Testament versions of that. When the Romans came into power, they had pagans that were celebrating springtime and a goddess of fertility by the name of Estre or Ishtar. So they called them pagans, but really these were farmers and people who just acknowledged that springtime was an amazing time of the year. It was a time when trees were blooming, flowers were blooming, animals were coming out of hibernation, and it was another time of sowing and reaping. And also has to do with the alignment of the stars in heaven, as above, so below. So you had so-called pagans or farmers or just everyday people acknowledging what was going on in the heavens, recognizing that it was a time to sow certain plants and reap others, and just paying homage to the heavens and to the ancestors. So when the Romans came into power, they said we have so-called pagans or farmers and everyday people who worship Ishtar, Estre, the goddess of fertility, which most people all over the world acknowledge gods and goddesses who were just deities or ancestors that they venerated, or they were venerating what was going on in the heavens. So the Romans said, we have those people, and then we have the Hebrews or the Jews that celebrate Passover at the same time. Why don't we celebrate the death, burial, and the resurrection of the Christ at the same time and call it Easter? Estre, to acknowledge the goddess of fertility, Ishtar or Ishtar. Some people say Isis. Acknowledge what the Jews are doing, acknowledge our Christianity, and put it all together. So you have people celebrating Easter, Passover around the same time. Some people call it Easter, some people call it, Passover. Some people who are so-called pagan just acknowledge that it's an amazing time. It is a time where the sun actually is up longer in the sky. We're celebrating the end of death, the end of winter time. And so it's the most amazing time of the year. But we call it deliverance season because the Jews were delivered from slavery. Let's speed it up to today's time. It is deliverance season. It is a time where you actually focus on all of the things you went through the last year and what you not just went through, but what you accomplished last year and what you anticipate happening in this new year, this new season, when you're going to experience a new beginning. This, my darlings, is an amazing time for people all over the world to be delivered from the enslavement of the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminati, the New World Order, the so-called elites or Elites or the Elohim, the gods or the beings that came here to enslave humanity. This is deliverance season where we all will be brought out of slavery, financial slavery, economic slavery, birth certificate bond slavery, debt slavery, credit slavery, all of that, psychological and emotional slavery, all of that will end. Fiat, debt-based economic system slavery, all of that will end. With everything that's happening behind the scenes with Source allowing for your ancestors to come back to help deliver you, and you becoming empowered by tapping into your Christ consciousness, Christos consciousness, and delivering yourself, because that is the actual resurrection of the Christ, is you waking up to yourself being God. You're waking up to yourself having dominion and power over your own life. You're waking up and having an ascension in consciousness. That's what Corona was all about. Corona as in crown. It means crown, literally, as in what's put over your head, as in the crown chakra being activated or awakening, Christos consciousness. You're all the Christ. Some people get offended when I say that. You're all Christ. You all have a message. You're all a Messiah. Messiah just means the anointed one. You're the called. You're the chosen. You were chosen to be here at this time. You decided to be here at this time to witness what? The liberation of the planet. Not only to help to witness it, but to help in the liberation of the planet. Financially, you're going to liberate the planet. By dispersing information, you're liberating the planet. By raising your vibrations and the frequencies, lifting the whole planet so that now people are thinking more positively and they're opening up to truth. You are liberating yourself and the people because you are the Messiah. You are the anointed one. You are the Christ for whom you've been looking. You are the Savior for whom you've been looking. And if you believe in the scriptures, it says that the God of the Bible gave you dominion, power, complete authority over your life, complete authority over energies. You have authority, power over anything that has been effectual in your life, in this reality, and in the world. You're Christ. You are God. The scripture says explicitly in Psalms, ye are gods. Jesus said the same thing. Did not your own Bible tell you you are gods? So it amazes me that some people are offended by the fact that I know we're gods. It's why I walk with my head up. It's why I am very secure in who I am as an individual. People call it being unapologetically you. I'm God. As God and the creator of my own reality, I command things. I don't beg. I don't grovel. You're not going to find me on my knees. I command angels to come to my beck and call. I command things to be released. I command money to come into my account, into my reality. I command wealth. I command prosperity. To command means to speak from an authoritative position. I command the angels to come to my beck and call. When people treat me wrong or they think they're getting away, I command the angels to wake them up and let them understand and overstand to whom they're speaking. Understand and understand who you've been dealing with. You're not dealing with mere flesh and blood. You're dealing with God when you deal with Dr. Kia Pruitt. That's why I have such a powerful resonance, because not only am I God, I walk in my Godship. I have dominion. I have power. I walk in my authority. I command things to happen. I don't think I've ever mentioned the DEVIL creature or being in a long time. And I definitely don't give that entity any type of authority over my life. I am well physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially because I make good decisions as God. You are doing well mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially because you're making good decisions as God, whether you recognize that you're God or not. You are. If you are a Christian, a Hebrew, or a Jew, in the Old Testament and the New Testament tells you that you are God. But see, I see God and the creator, the supreme creator, as two different things. I see the supreme creator as source. And when you look at the 24 or 48, whatever you call it, universal principles, the principles that guide the universe or govern the universe, the first one is that it is the law of oneness. It says that we all come from source. Source is in everything. Energy is in everything. If you decide to leave this physical body, you will go back to energy or back to source. Source abides in you. They say that everything came out of darkness. Okay, depending on what type of belief. Some people say, God spoke and it was everything was dark and void, and that God spoke and then everything sprang out of darkness. Some people believe in the Big Bang Theory. Whatever you believe in or espouse to, most people know that everything is energy. So the supreme creator for me is energy. The supreme God, prime creator is energy, is source. If you want to be like source, but you already have source in you, God is a frequency. Vibrate on that high vibrational frequency and you're God or you're source. The prime creator, source. But there are many different creator gods in my world. You have the Anunnaki, you have other beings, creator beings. You have you and your parents. You create by bringing forth life. You create by doing art. You create by singing. You create by making clothes, by creating shoes. You are creators. You're God in my eyes. And when you learn to start commanding and stop groveling, begging, and not only you can ask, but sometimes I ask, sometimes I don't. I usually just command. When you learn to come from that place, you will actually start to manifest. Because when you're begging, when you're asking, why hasn't it happened? Oh my God, when is God going to deliver me? Why isn't this happening? This is a hard time. What you're doing is you're acting like the children of Israel who were about to experience Canaan land, the promised land, but you're holding up progress. And that's why that 3 days journey took 40 years. A lot of us are not realizing wealth, health, prosperity because we spend too much energy complaining, and that lowers the frequency and the vibrations that are around you. But when you have high vibrations, you come from an abundance mindset. You know, there's more than enough. There's a surplus of wealth. There's a surplus of silver and gold. There's a surplus of food. There's a surplus of everything you need. Cattle. When you know that, there's a surplus of love. There's an abundance of joy to be realized, peace. There's an abundance of good men. There's an abundance of good women. There's an abundance of wonderful, juicy, amazing, loving partners. That even a partner or companion that you have has a lot. They're really good individuals that maybe have issues that can be worked through. When you come from an abundance mindset, your life becomes good and you start making good decisions. People are in a predicament, the predicament that they're in for the most part because of the decisions that they've made. A lot of people are sick because of what they choose to put in their mouths. A lot of people are obese or fat because they eat the wrong foods, or they eat at the wrong time of the day, or they're not moving. A lot of people are impoverished, yes, because the government is doing certain things, but it's also because we haven't budgeted and we haven't prioritized what we have, and we haven't learned to be content with what we have. And then if you want to do better, become more enterprising to create. When you don't think you're God, when you think you're merely human, or you're mortal, or you're flawed, or everybody makes mistakes, that is from the perspective that you're going to live. That's the lens through which you see the world. When you think your righteousness is as filthy rags, and you're dirty and you're filthy and you needed something to come save you, then you will live like that. But when you know I'm God and I'm equal to any creator gods that exist on this plane and any other planes, you will manifest whatever it is you desire. If you continue to sing the songs, I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold, you won't seek after silver and gold. You will look for a Jesus outside of yourself. But when you know that you are God, and if you choose to celebrate the ancestor that people call Jesus, you will say, I will have Jesus and silver and gold, as well as my other ancestors. That's the place from which I come. I'm not mad at people that worship or celebrate Jesus or venerate Jesus, because I venerate all of my ancestors. I venerate my daddy. I venerate and acknowledge and celebrate my grandparents. My great-grandfather, mi bisabuelo de Colombia, my great-grandfather from Colombia, taught me about precious metals when I was 7. He gifted them to me, or bequeathed them to me upon his death. I didn't know what he was giving me. I just remember holding the silver and gold in my hand and saying, oh my God, granddaddy left this to me. I don't know what it means. I put it on my chest. I thought it was amazing. Then it went away because his descendants that were above me didn't recognize the value in 1974 of silver and gold. We were already off the gold standard. So they gave it away. But I have that memory. So yes, I venerate my great-grandfather, Manuel Domingo Gomez from Colombia. See, yes, I do. I venerate my grandparents who taught me about family values, because they taught me about the importance of marriage. They have taught me the importance of being a matriarch, the importance of loving and appreciating, respecting the patriarch and working with the patriarch and building a family legacy. Because they taught me this, I can teach it to the world. So I venerate my grandparents, the ones that have gone on before me. And I acknowledge and honor my mom who is living for teaching me how to read, for teaching me how to carry myself as a woman, for teaching me how to walk, for teaching me how to talk, how to carry myself as a good person. I venerate my dad, God rest his soul, for teaching me how to eat clean. He was a vegan. For teaching me how to drink water and not drink sweet drinks. That's why I have a nice figure, a nice shape. I fast because of my dad, and my mom taught me how to fast since the time I was a small child. Intermittent fasting is a fad, but I was trained to fast from the time I was a baby, to go without food for 24, 48, 36 hours, whatever, 36, 72 hours. It was nothing. When you're raised that way, you learn discipline. So I thank my parents for that. I venerate my parents. I acknowledge them. I respect them. I honor them. And the dead or the deceased or those that have transitioned, I honor them and expect them to come to my aid when I call upon them, because I venerate and honor them. So I'm not mad at people that worship Jesus. I acknowledge Jesus as a good person, as an ancestor, just like my ancestors. So I come to tell you that you are amazing. You are more than flesh and blood. And in this new era into which we're going, this golden era, you're going to be able to use these powers that have been suppressed. When I was a child, I used to levitate. And it would just happen. I didn't even think. It would just happen. And it would happen all the time. It was a part of my life. I used to think things into existence. I used to make things move. I used to see entities. We all have had those experiences to some extent, whether we remember them or not. And we're all going to go back to that. When you look at Dr. Geopolitical, she talks about the different aspects of the brain. She says we used to fly. We used to be able to manifest all type of things. We used to absorb energy, but now we only use certain amounts of our brain. We only use a small percentage of our brain. But the era into which we're going, we'll be able to use more parts of our brain. So having said that, family, this is deliverance season. That's what I want to say. This is deliverance season. This is a time where you will be able to, and you will not be able to, you will realize wealth. You will realize health. You will start making good decisions. You will help your family and yourself and your community. And we are going to build an amazing, beautiful, thriving society. There's a scripture where John said, I, John, saw a new heaven and a new earth descend from the clouds. It descended and came upon into our reality. Why did he say that? Because you're not necessarily going to a new place. Heaven is coming to earth. You manifested that. We're going to build cities made of gold. Streets are going to be paved with gold. Lakes, waters, rivers are going to spring from deserts. Flowers are going to bloom. The parts of the planet or the plane that we've never seen that's out there, they're going to be uncovered for us. Lemuria, Atlantis, they exist. They're going to be more glorious than they ever were in this new golden age. And you have decided to be a part of that. You should pat yourselves on the back because you decided to experience that, and you will. You will. So, family, I came today to remind you that this is a new year. It's a new season. It is springtime. It is the time for new life, for the animals to come out of hibernation, and it's high manifestation time. It is deliverance season. In the chat, I'd like for you to tell the family what you've been delivered from. What have you been set free from? Put it in the chat. Let's talk about it. What have you changed your mind from? What have you rescued yourself from? Or what have the ancestors or the gods or source, however you see creator, delivered you from? Thank you. You're welcome. MM says, yes, Miss Kia, Chinese Feng Shui teaches the same regarding negativity and receiving prosperity. Wow, thank you. Yeah, I love juicy partners. Amen. Amen. Or amen. Oh, you guys are experiencing ads? I'm sorry about that. So, yes, God is in us. Father, Mother, God exists in you. Source is in you. And your ancestors are in you. You are their ancestors. It is not too late to invest in foreign currencies. I would suggest that we do it now, as if you are able to, if you're financially able to, if it's in your budget, or sacrifice so that you can afford it. We know that the foreign currencies are still available because if you go to those online companies, you will see that they're still available. However, in the articles that says that Vietnam has decided to remove tariffs from American imported goods, the same article states that this will create a high demand for the Vietnamese dong. Okay. Other articles that state that Iraq has become the transportation hub of the Middle East and the transportation hub of the world also state that this will create a high demand for the Iraqi dinar. Then you have articles that state that because of high tariffs, countries are considering what they're going to do with their currencies in order to afford the tariffs. The only thing left for them to do is to revalue their currencies or to put or reinstate the value of their currencies back to the value that it was before there were sanctions placed on those countries or before those countries' currencies were devalued through war. Countries have to revalue their currencies again in order to pay off tariffs and because there's now a high demand for these countries' currencies. Since, listen, okay, so I told you all when I read the article about Vietnam that Vietnam has removed the tariffs from American imported goods, thus creating a high demand for the country's currencies. What does a high demand for something create? A high demand for the Vietnamese dong will create a low supply because as people demand, I need more Vietnamese dong. They're going to take the Vietnamese dong that are available, right? So it's going to shrink the supply. What happens when you apply economic principles to all of this? Okay, I study economics. High demand, low supply. Now that thing, that product, whatever it was that is in high demand that has a low supply, you have to value that, revalue it. You have to put a higher value on it, right? Because it's a high demand, but it's a low supply. So they will have to revalue it or put a higher price on the Vietnamese dong. So that's only one currency, one article that I read to you. Another article that I read to you, check the live section on my YouTube channel, Dr. Kia Pruitt Show or Dr. Kia Pruitt Official, or check my Rumble channel. I told you that Israel removed all of the tariffs from imported American goods. Okay. President Trump told you every country has decided to come to the table and renegotiate tariffs. Excuse me. If every country has come to the table with Trump's April 2nd deadline and said, we're ready to talk now, and they decide to remove some of the tariffs from American imported goods or all of the tariffs, that means there will be a high demand for their currency because the articles state that the Vietnamese dong has a high demand now that they've removed tariffs from American imported goods. So that means it's going to happen to all countries' currencies, right? Especially those countries' currencies that have been devalued through sanctions or war. The high demand for these countries' currencies will will ensure a low supply, which will mean that they have to raise the value. That's one thing. Secondly, we know that Iraq, for one, has stated that their currency is about to go digital. Most countries are saying they're going to go digital. If you're going to make or your country's currency digital or digitalize the country's currency, that means you're going to remove the paper currency off the market. You're going to take the currencies off the streets. If they're going to remove the currencies off the streets, there's not going to be any currencies available. So get the currencies now while you can. Thirdly, countries' currencies will have to be one-to-one because President Trump and all other presidents through secret agreements have already agreed to make their currencies one-to-one in order to have a level playing field. I showed you all a video a week or two ago where President Trump himself said regarding devalued currencies, I've been thinking about that a long time. So I am going to do something to revalue those currencies and make those currencies one-to-one with each other. Put all this together, family, and know that the country's currencies will revalue. But while they are available and while tariff talks are happening, get in while you can on the greatest wealth transfer by doing what? Buying depreciated assets. This is how the wealthy became rich in 1929. During the Great Depression, they bought depreciated assets. What are depreciated assets? Foreign currencies that were devalued through war or through sanctions that the United States Incorporated put on those countries. Digital assets, those have been depreciated assets. Land, commercial properties, real estate. Now, those houses, commercial properties are being dumped back onto the market. Good time to get into it. People don't really respect or haven't over the years respected silver and gold. They consider silver and gold a commodity or a collectible. And because of that, those assets were depreciated over time. If you looked at the gold and silver price over time, it was low, right? Because the people in power did not want you to understand and understand that gold and silver were money. But what happened? The BRICS coalition, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, got together and said through a secret agreement called Project Sandman, when triggered, we're going to stop trading with the dollar and we're going to use our own local currencies backed by silver and gold. They did this by all aligning themselves with the BRICS coalition. They had Russia and their military forces as the powerhouse of the military that would back them up. And they had their own local currencies. They had also each other because united, these countries were stronger. What was the trigger that catapulted these countries dropping the United States USD fiat dollar for trade? It was Vladimir Putin going to Ukraine and exposing all of the trafficking, the money laundering, the sex trafficking, all the stuff that was going on in Ukraine, all the creation in the labs of these sicknesses that shut down the world. Vladimir Putin uncovered all of that was happening. Excuse me. And then Biden, who was the president or resident at the time, put sanctions on Vladimir Putin. Putin knew that would happen. Before, if you put sanctions on a president, the president would have to bow. Vladimir Putin knew he didn't have to bow to Biden anymore because behind the scenes, he had already created a secret agreement with 209 nations that when triggered, we all will stop trading with the United States dollar that's attached to the Federal Reserve central banking system and the United States Incorporated, which incorporated themselves as a bloodline group of bloodline families in 1871 as a nonprofit religious organization in the state of Delaware in 1871. We're going to remove ourselves from that. Once the trigger and the gun has been shot, the trigger has happened, the trigger has been pulled, we're all going to just stop trading with the dollar. Putin uncovered what Biden was doing in Ukraine and all these crime families, Biden put sanctions on Putin. This was in 2022. He stopped trading with the dollar, started trading with his own currency called the Russian ruble. And in 2022, the same year of the Ukrainian exposed Ukrainian war, the Russian ruble became the strongest performing currency in the world. Then Putin, who is the president of Russia, whether it's the real him or not, because most of them, the presidents, a lot of people have been removed and replaced, and many of them are wearing masks. Once it happened that he uncovered all this, Biden put sanctions on him, he just led remember, he's over Russia. He led BRICS, the whole coalition, to stop trading with the dollar. And they did. So that was so successful that then Vladimir Putin went to the BRICS conference and told all exporting nations to stop trading with the dollar. Why? Because what gave the USD financial and economic hegemony, or what gave the United States Incorporated financial and economic hegemony, what made them the powerhouse, and what made the United States dollar, the USD, the world reserve currency, was our agreement with Saudi Arabia to protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for their oil, and thereby force all exporting nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia in exchange for the USD. They had to use the USD to get oil from Saudi Arabia. Well, now that Vladimir Putin had not only stopped trading with the dollar, start using the Russian ruble, but encouraging the BRICS coalition to use the Russian ruble, his currency became the number one currency overnight. Then at the conference, he said, let's all start using our own currencies. And at the conference, he invited other nations to join BRICS. The first one to join was Saudi Arabia in 2022. That's what ended the dollar, really, officially. Because what gave the dollar world reserve currency status was our agreement with Saudi Arabia and their Saudi princes to protect the kingdom in exchange for their oil, and force all nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia using the dollar. And if they didn't, we would go to their countries, declare war, fund both sides of the war, and thereby not only decimate their economy, destroy their countries and their infrastructure, but devalue their countries' currencies. I'm going somewhere with this. So that now a country's currency could have been 1-to-1 with America, or higher than America's currency, but we devalued their currency through war after we funded both sides. Then everything's destroyed. The currency's been devalued. America and other leaders all over the world would buy those countries' currencies while they had been decimated and devalued through war, hold on to those currencies. The prelates would, the elites would. Wait until America goes back into the nation, rebuild the infrastructure that they destroyed through war, start doing trade with them, bring up the GDP, raise the rate or reinstate the rate or the value of their currency back to its pre-war value. And then those prelates, premiers, elites that had bought the country's currency that was devalued through war now would go to the bank, get a higher exchange rate from the currency that they bought at pennies on the dollar. Now it's $3, $4 above what they bought, the rate. They, multiply it by 4 or 5, whatever. They became wealthy overnight. So they bought a depreciated asset. It's a scam. It's a scheme. But the people who were suffering in those countries had no idea that this was going on, and this is how wealthy people were becoming rich. If they didn't do it through devaluing their country's currency through war, they would do it by putting sanctions on those nations. Economic, financial sanctions. We're not doing trade with you. Nobody's allowed to do trade with you. Okay, so our agreement with the Saudi kingdom to protect their empire, the Saudi prince's empire, in exchange for the oil, and we would force all exporting nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia, and they must use the dollar, was what gave the dollar financial, or made it the world reserve currency, gave the United States Incorporated financial economic hegemony. Behind the scenes, though, while these countries were agreeing to stop trading with the dollar, Trump was going around under his first administration forcing nations to concede to him because he had the power to do so. He was the one, or the person masquerading as Trump, who's ever wearing the Trump mask. He was the one that was tasked by the Grand Army of the Republic to get these other nations in order and to cause all these people to bow to him because they're all a part of the same elite club. He got each nations to concede to him. One of those nations was indeed Saudi Arabia. That's why you saw the sword dance and you saw them knight him as a king. They're all doing rituals, family. That's why I keep saying you're the savior. I'm the savior of ourselves. We're watching the show. Some of us enjoying it, some of us not, but they're all looking at us as puppets behind the scenes. Luckily, you have some good forces like the Grand Army of the Republic that's helping to liberate the planet and others that are liberating the planet. So also behind the scenes, you had the Saudi princes that owned the casinos in Nevada. There was this one gentleman who actually called them out. And he told America to wake up. The land that you think is owned by Americans is not only owned by the Chinese Communist Party or the CCP, by the Ukrainian mafia, but it's also owned by Saudi princes, namely casinos and much of the land in Nevada. A lot of those people, those elites, including allegedly the Saudi princes, engage in debauchery, lewd, lascivious behavior, alcoholism, being in a drunken stupor, trafficking drugs, selling drugs, using drugs, prostitution. That's why in the land of Nevada you can get away with that. It was owned by the Saudi princes, allegedly. But there's facts to back me up. Just have to look for it. This is why prostitution was legal there. It was, and it's also known as the city of sin in what is certain parts of Nevada. A lot of people that owned that area owned or were in control of Nevada, California, that whole western area. They were elite families. In California, you have the Pelosi's, the Gettys, the Browns, and the Newsoms. They're all one bloodline family, and or they married each other. They control California and or many parts of the West, as well as other bloodline families. They are attached to the 13 bloodline families. But remember, there are bloodline families behind those 13 bloodline families that's really running things. But my point is, those elite people have been holding back the water. Those areas that's considered a desert are man-made deserts. The water is owned by elite families, some of whom were Saudi princes that are either in bed with, in secret societies with, married with, or have dealings with elites that are here in America. Many of the elites here in America are not even American. Most of them, if not all of them, they're not American. They're not autogenous Americans. They're not the bloodline of America, not the 13 elite families. Now, I don't know some of those people behind the 13 elite people. I don't even think they're American. I don't even think they're human. But we'll leave that for another discussion. So there was something called the triangle of power. There was the Soros entity, who is not human. There were the 13 bloodline families. And there was the Saudi princes. Trump in his first administration went along, and the Grand Army of the Republic, taking down every arm of the triangle. No, I'm not Illuminati. No, I'm not, a bad person. I'm just showing you a triangle of power. Each branch of the power, each part of the triangle has been eliminated, including the Saudi princes, the George Soros Foundation, and those entities that are not human, and the 13 bloodline families. They've all been dismantled. The Saudi princes have conceded to Trump. So that whole Nevada area is about to explode. It's about to bloom. I'm prophesying. I'm telling you what I know through the gift that the source has given me. Nevada is going to do very well. You also have gold mines and silver mines that have been closed because we came off the gold standard. They're going to reopen. Why? Because not only has all nations joined BRICS, exporting nations to either join BRICS or the Shanghai Cooperation Organizations. Those are those Asian nations. They joined either Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa coalition. One Saudi Arabia joined. They were known as Silverbacks. Then You had other nations to join, so that in 2022, 85% of the global population had joined BRICS. Then you had the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, those Asian nations, all of them stopped trading with the dollar and now using their own country's currencies backed by precious metals. That's what you have happening all over the world. I don't care what mainstream media is telling you. I'm telling you, we have evidence. I've been talking about this for years. It's all across my channels. I have articles, videos to support it, and you can see it with your own eyes now. Here in America, more than 46 states, look it up, have reclaimed silver and gold. How do we know that 46 states have reclaimed silver and gold? First, they don't have to do it because the Constitution for the United States, Article 1, Section 10, says the only thing that can be used to pay off debt is silver and gold. And we know that the Constitution for our republic defines the dollar as a fixed weight in silver. We know that the Coinage Act of 1792, at April 2nd, 1792, attached the dollar to silver and gold. That's why April the 2nd was Liberation Day, not just because that was the time we were going to put tariffs on all the countries, and that was the deadline Trump gave the whole world to decide whether or not you want to do business with us, but also we were celebrating, commemorating the Coinage Act, Congress Coinage Act, that was brought about April the 2nd, 1792. So that was the precursor to the gold silver standard. You have the Constitution acknowledging silver and gold as money, the only thing to pay off debts. And then you have legislatures or lawmakers using the tool of the deep state, introducing and passing bills, because that's how they operate. They don't go by the Constitution for our republic. The deep state passed bills. In America, 46 states, some articles say 45, some say 46, some say more than 46, have reclaimed silver and gold or restored gold and silver as money. This article was published by the Sound Money Defense League. Okay. They've restored gold and silver as money. How? By repealing or removing sales taxes on gold and silver. Once we came off the gold standard, I'll put that in the description section for you, and I'll put it in the chat. Once we came off the gold standard, the people in power said gold and silver are no longer money. They're a commodity. They're a collectible. They're something that you can trade or just collect. Once you identify or classify gold and silver as a commodity or a collectible, you can tax it. These people are wicked, but the Constitution for our republic made taxing money unlawful. So these evil, wicked people in power said, we'll create our own Constitution of the United States Incorporated, not to be confused with the Constitution for the republic. The Constitution of our corporation that we founded and incorporated in 1871 as a nonprofit religious organization, religious because the Pope is over it. We have our own Constitution. We classify gold and silver as a commodity, a collectible. So they were taxing it. Well, lawmakers said, we're going to use your tools and we're going to pass bills that say no longer will we collect taxes on gold and silver as money. That on gold and silver. And we will not do that. And that is how the people in power, the good people that are behind the scenes, use the tools of the deep state to destroy them. At the same time, the Supreme Court of the United States said that state-sponsored banks can operate independently from the Federal Reserve Central Banking System. They can have their own charter, their own rules, their own laws, and issue out their own gold-backed currency. Kudos to the Supreme Court of the United States. We've always had good people behind the scenes working deals out. Then you had the Supreme Court of the United States overturning the Chevron doctrine. That was decimating the government. The Chevron doctrine said that these corporations, these entities, anything that would incorporate themselves and say they were part of the federal government, like the CIA, the FBI, et cetera, they can create any rules they want, any laws, not laws, legality, statutes, codes, and policies, and force the people to abide by them and attach themselves to the United States Incorporated. That's what the Chevron doctrine said. And if they made you abide, if they made these statutes, you had to abide by them. And then if you didn't, you had to pay a fine. And If you try to appeal or go to court, the courts would defer you. So the Chevron doctrine became known as the Chevron deference, because the courts would defer you back to those unlawful government agencies and say, yeah, you do have to pay the fine because they are the experts. You do have to pay the IRS because they are the experts, even though they're not part of our lawful Republican Constitution. You do, according to Chevron doctrine of Chevron deference. Well, the Supreme Court of the United States overturned that and said that these entities are not government. They might consider themselves government because they govern or manage or control the mind, but they're not part of the republic. They are unlawful and unconstitutional, is what the Supreme Court of the United States determined. Therefore, they must be eliminated. They are treasonous, and any judge that allowed that to happen, they have committed treason. And any judge that knew that a judge allowed this to happen, and they knew that judges deferred people back to these agencies, these fake government agencies that are not part of the republic, the judge that participated, they committed treason. The judge that knew of a judge that participated, they committed misprision of treason. That's what the Chevron doctrine was all about. That's why Trump and his second administration, who was given a direct order from the courts, from the Grand Army of the Republic, Trump has handlers too. He tasked Elon Musk with coming up with DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, to shrink the government, to get rid of the government, to find out where the money was going, and to give that money back over to the people. That's why DOGE was created. That's why you're hearing about all these billions and trillions of dollars that's been going out otherwise, all over the place. It was all planned behind the scenes to destroy and decimate the system. So you have a lot of things working together. You also had Basel III compliances that said all banks had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset and not as a commodity, because banks were recognizing gold as a commodity, a collectible. As an aside, people were acknowledging and recognizing currencies, foreign currencies, as a collectible. That's why they, people would just collect them. Oh, it's just, it's a collectible, it's a commodity. You can tax it. But now, even when you go to coin shops, you go places where the online dealers, you see they're selling the currencies that were now cheap. The demand is getting high for the currencies as people are waking up and realizing that countries are using their own currencies for trade. The demand for these currencies are high. So, and the supply is shrinking. So even online and at the coin dealership, those foreign currencies are going up in value. I bought a Zimbabwean Zim for $1, a $200 trillion note at a local coin shop, $1. That same note now is $100. And the dealer was like, for some reason, I don't know why these Zim notes, I only have a few left, why they're increasing in value so much. I was like, yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Think I was going to tell him? No. Sometimes I use it as an opportunity to educate. Sometimes I'm like, look, you might be playing me too. You know what I'm saying? So I just buy them while they're low. Hold on, hodl for dear life. My point is, the country's currencies are going up in value, even online, because the demand is high. People are waking up. Those currencies were seen as a commodity or a collectible. Artifacts, art pieces, wealthy people, the elite collect art as a commodity, but it's also seen as wealth. Banks had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset, meaning they have to now recognize gold as money. This is why 46 states have repealed the state sales taxes from precious metals, because you can't tax money. People are waking up. This is why states are now openly talking about gold backs. I've been talking about gold backs for many, many years. I can't even tell you, at least 2020, 2014, I was talking about gold when I saw that all these Chinese companies were mining gold in Ghana. Ghana's called the Gold Coast. Lebanese were mining gold in Ghana. It's like, something's going on. This was 2014. What's going on with gold? That's when I stumbled upon a book that said that Africa was China's newest continent. Behind the scenes, since 2011, states were actually legalizing gold backs or gold RM notes as legal tender to buy local goods and services. It's just that most of the people didn't know. Now 46 states have repealed taxes from the sales of precious metals, acknowledging gold and silver as money, and many of those states are printing out gold RM notes, AURUM, also known as gold backs, that you can use to buy local goods and services. And if your merchants do not recognize them, you force them to. You educate them, you tell them, or you encourage them to. Then you go to your lawmakers, you tell them, look, this state has repealed sales taxes from precious metals, thus acknowledging gold and silver as money. Why are you, if they're putting taxes on your gold and silver, once your state has repealed or removed the state sales taxes, sue your governor. Sue people. Educate the merchants. Sue the governor. Work at the local level. Raise Cain, raise hell. Make them take gold and silver as money. You have power. I told you early in this podcast, you're God. Meaning you are a creator. You have dominion. You have power. You're not a slave. You are God. If you don't like calling yourself God, you're God in flesh, your source, your little messiahs, Jesus, whatever. You're your ancestors and reincarnated. You have source living in you. You have power. You're a spiritual being, however you want to say it. Stop letting people run all over you. You have power. 46 states that I know of have repealed the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. I showed you the article. You can look it up yourself. It's not just the 46 states here. It's also BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and the whole coalition. Remember, I told you in 2022 was 85% of the global population that had joined BRICS. It's the Shanghai Corporation. It's here in America. Everybody's recognizing gold and silver as money. That's why in February 2023, and I've been talking about this for many years. It's going on more than 7 years. And if you count 2014, when I've started talking about gold, it's been over a decade. February 2023, this article came out. The world is hurtling back towards gold as money, meaning they're recognizing gold as money. In 2011, Trump rented out one of his towers, the top floor of his towers, to APMEX, a gold company, for 32 ounces of gold. And he said, this is the precursor of what is to come. Look it up. If these states won't recognize your gold RM notes or your gold backs as money when you try to do certain things with it, or they won't recognize silver and gold as money, you need to sue your governor. You need to do what Kentucky did. I showed you this article before. Now I'm going to see if I can find it now. Kentucky, remember, became the 45th state to remove the taxes from the sales of precious metals last year. And I told you about that when it happened. But in the state of Kentucky, three taxpayers and a large metal company, Metals Mint, sued Governor Andy Beshear for still having taxes on the state on precious metals when the state legislators had actually repealed or removed state taxes from the sales of precious metals. So they sued the governor. Let's see if I can find it. Kentucky sues Governor Beshear. Yep, here we go. I did show you all that article. I do have a video on my YouTube channel and Rumble channel about it. But this is taking power into your own hands as a person that's in control of their own life, a person that takes accountability for their own lives. You're not a slave. You don't have to wait on Trump. You don't have to wait on the governor. You don't have to wait on the army or the Grand Army of the Republic. You don't have to wait on the Galactic Federation. You don't have to wait on the ancestors. Use the power that you have. The 10th Amendment states that local governments and local communities have more power than the federal government. And in fact, the federal government only has the power that the people give it. When we agree, whether consciously or subconsciously or overtly or covertly or through tacit agreement, just by going along with their plan, we're giving them power. Let's do what Kentucky did. Excuse me. Keep chatting, family. I'm very hoarse. I think it's because I typically don't eat cheese. I had some delicious macaroni and cheese last night, and I think that mucus is causing me to choke. Mucus is not good for your body. It's the foundation for many, if not all, diseases. So today I'm fasting from foods and I'm only drinking my water and tea. I'll probably do it for a couple of days to get this mucus out of my body and drink lots and lots of water, flush my body out. 3 Kentucky citizens, a precious metal retailer, sued Governor Andy Beshear for illegal sales tax seizures. On Thursday, March 27th, 3 Kentucky taxpayers and one of America's largest precious metals dealers filed a class action lawsuit against Governor Andy Beshear, a Democrat, the Commonwealth of Kentucky's governor, and the Kentucky Department of Revenue for their illegal sales tax collections in connection with retail purchases of precious metals or physical gold and silver. The precious metals company is Money Metals Exchange. I said it was Metals Mint, so it was Money Metals Exchange. Bill Shaw Houston, Stacy Earl, and Karen Strayer, you know a Karen's going to rat you out and will come after you, filed the state court complaint in the Boone Circuit Court on behalf of themselves and on all similarly situated Kentucky taxpayers and on behalf of precious metals dealers across the United States. The class action lawsuit comes immediately on the heels of overwhelming votes by both the Kentucky House of Representatives and Senate to override Governor Beshear's veto this week of House Bill 2. And you can look at it here on the link, a measure which expanded the state's new sales tax exemption from precious metals purchases. If you don't like what these elite, unlawful, illegal creatures are doing, use your power to sue them. Hit them where it hurts. Hit their pockets. That is what a real protest is. Look at the etymology of words. People like Martin Luther King sold us out by telling us screaming and rioting and shouting and yelling in the streets is a way to get the government to bow to you. Because the etymology of a protest is to file the proper paperwork and get it notarized, put it through proper channels, and affect the change that you desire. Look it up. That is a protest. It is a statement signed by the parties that have been offended by the government or the elites that has had it notarized, put through proper channels, and thus getting the result that they determine they need. It is not screaming, rallying, yelling, shouting, throwing temper tantrums in the middle of the street, singing kumbaya songs like "We shall overcome someday," or casting negative affirmations on yourself like "I can't breathe." The hell? Neither is it holding your hands up saying, "Hands up, don't shoot." Nor is it getting on your knees, bowing, begging under the guise of protesting the national anthem or being against the flag. Neither is it throwing any negative affirmations or shouting things at police and cops and the National Guard. No justice, no peace. N-O justice, N-O peace, K-N-O-W justice, no justice, no peace. You sound like idiots. You sound like fools. We sound like fools and idiots just chanting Now, when you look at the etymology of those words and you do the gematria of those words, you'll find out what you're chanting and putting into the multiverse. Everything is a frequency. I told you that. God, source is a frequency. Everything is energy. Resonate on high vibrational frequencies. If you want to cast affirmation, say positive things. But even screaming no justice, no peace, what are you proving? Martin Luther King, Michael Luther King, whatever his name, wasn't even King, I'm sure. Whatever the man, whoever, the same guy who was friends with the Rothschilds and got lots of pictures of the Rothschilds and all these bloodline families, the same people who he was eating and partying, rubbing elbows with them. You know, the Rothschilds, that's part of the triangle of power, the ones who's the head of the education system that's now being dismantled. You know, the Rothschilds, the bloodline family who created the fake state of Israel. You know, the Rothschild family who the British crown and the Pope gave or stole part of the land in the Palestinian region and said, you guys are the real Jews. The Zionists that control the media, the news, the entertainment. Yeah, those were good friends of Martin Luther King that told you that we should overcome one day. Let's sing and march. The ones that had your children out in the streets fighting against dogs, the one that allowed your children and your ancestors and your mother and father to get watered down by water hoses while he was screwing the same white people he claimed not to love. Yeah, that one. The one that was cheating on his wife, allegedly. Yeah, he sold us out. He told you that a protest was what they call a peaceful protest was singing kumbaya songs because at least you're bringing awareness. That is not the etymology of the word protest. It is the etymology of the word protest, and protest in action is what the people in Kentucky are doing. That's why I say stop acting like a slave. You're not a slave. Kanye West told you slavery is a choice. Why do we keep acting like slaves? We do it because the Freemasons, the Boule, the Skull and Bones, the bad faction of all those, the Eastern Stars, they're puppets like Martin Luther King told you, singing kumbaya songs and putting your women and children in danger by rallying was the right thing to do, when a protest is what these three Kentucky citizens or taxpayers, they're not citizens because they don't citizen and they're not slaves. Other articles will call them Kentucky taxpayers, Kentucky nationals, and a precious metals government sued Governor Andy Beshear. And guess what? They're going to win because the state has already determined that silver and gold has to have the taxes repealed. This is a protest. Look up the etymology. Look up the meaning of the word, the true meaning of the word, protest. You're not a slave. I'm not. I'm God. Oh, Dr. Pruitt, you're sacrilegious behaviors. Thank you for the Cash App blessing, Ray Wortman. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for all of you that sent a Cash App or that's a desire to support my work. You see that my Cash App is $ Mama Kia 13. That's $ MAMAKIA 13. I chose the number 13 because the ancients used to say, let she or he who understand and overstand the power of 13 receive peace, power, and prosperity, because that's a high vibrational frequency upon which it resonates. That's why they told you to be afraid of the 13. They tell you it's an ominous number while they use it to bring in wealth. But family, I'm not sacrilegious. I know who I am. I know I'm a creator. I know I came from source. I know sources within me. God is a frequency. Creator, source is a frequency. You just have to resonate on that frequency and you'll be able to live a beautiful, amazing life. It's not too late to invest. Not yet. Not now. But at some point, they're going to remove it off the streets. You're welcome. Sister Mary says, thank you, Dr. Kia. You're welcome. Yes, Scat Pack. If you are a Christian or you guys just like good words from ancient texts, there's a scripture that says, greater works than these shall you do. This is the Messiah, the Christ speaking. Greater works than these shall you do because I go to my Father. Why are we not performing greater miracles than the biblical Christ? Why are we not receiving or achieving Buddha status? Why are we not becoming highly self-actualized? Why are we not ascending to Christ consciousness? Why are we not opening up our first eye chakra or our pineal gland, your first eye? They call it the third eye. I call it the first eye. You're welcome. Sister Arlene says, my beloved mom's birthday was July 13th. May she rest in peace. God bless her soul. And may she forever look over you and guide you, sister. Yes, this is question and answer, Daryl. You can ask a question, but you know me, I'm an instructor, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator. My gift is encouragement. I uplift. I came to this planet to deliver to people and to encourage them, raise their vibrations, and help them to achieve their highest self. So anything that I do, any decision that I make, any food that I eat, any activity that I participate in, I always consider my mission, my vision, and my purpose. What did I come here to do? Is this in alignment with my mission? Is this in alignment with my vision? Every partner that I have or companion that I have, is this in alignment with my purpose, my life purpose, my mission? Every last one of you should have a mission. What is it that you're here to do? You should know it. You should write it out. You should be able to recite it. You should have a mission for yourself and a mission for your family. You should sit your family down. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt speaking. I'm an educator, and determine what the mission is for the family. Help them to recite it by memory. And every activity that you do should be in alignment with your mission and your purpose. Get back to having family meetings. Are we on task? This is the mission. We've all agreed. We voted. This is our mission for the family. And sometimes it would change or evolve over time because men usually have a mission or a vision before they get married. You know, the woman usually decides if she can get with that vision. Then as a couple, you're in alignment, you raise kids, but things change. You know, we're fluid. Situations change, finances, whatever. You evolve. You should always have consistent family meetings. Sit down. Are we on task? Are we in alignment with this mission? A mission statement for yourself and your family and even your community. And a vision statement, the mission, your purpose. What are we here to accomplish? Your vision. What do we see in the future? What is my outgoal? What is my outcome that I desire? What do I see in the future for myself and my family? You should have a mission statement for yourself, a mission statement for your family, and a vision statement for yourself and a vision statement for your family. You should have meetings to make sure that you're on task. And if you need to change your mission statement or your vision statement, you should do it together as a family or as a couple and bring your children in on it. Help them to get the buy-in of the mission and the purpose or the vision. I brought that up because, yes, this is a Q&A, but whenever I have the opportunity to speak, I am going to activate and walk in my mission, my purpose, because I have a vision for the future to see all humanity delivered and thrive in prosperity and peace. Futuristic, my vision. My vision guides all of my decisions. My mission, I've been sent here to achieve that through teaching, educating, speaking, prophesying. Every activity that I do is in alignment with my vision and my mission. I have a Q&A today, but I'm going to lead with my mission and my vision because my outcome is to make sure humanity is delivered. And I do a very good job of it. because I came to do this. I desired to come. I manifested them. I chose my mother and my father. It was a little tough. My mom was very strict, but I thank God I came through her portal. I thank God I came through the loins of my dad. He was a disciplinarian. He was very disciplined. In some areas, he was weak, but in some areas, veganism, eating well, running, he was an athlete, drinking water, fasting for days and weeks. He was very disciplined. Every activity. When I look at my budget, I'm thinking about spending money. Is this in alignment with my mission and my vision? If I decide to entertain a person, is he or she in alignment with my mission and my business? Because if you about games, I don't mind having fun every now and then. I mean, only every now and then. I don't believe in playing. I have a goal. I came to deliver God's people. I'm a Moses, a female version. Who knows if Moses is really a man or woman? I don't know. But I'm a Moses, so to speak. I'm a God. I know who I am. I don't have time for games. If you were playing games, you like to just sit up and play games all day. You like to party all day. I don't have time for that. I may take a break every now and then, but if you about games, I do not entertain you. If you loose with your body, you're loose with your morals, you're loose with your money, you're loose with your principles, I will not grant you audience because I'm God. You can call me an empress, you can call me a queen. What's a queen to a God? I'm all of that, and so are you. So everything I do is in alignment with my mission, vision, and purpose. How I spend my money, how I speak, how I behave, how I spend my leisure time, how I teach, how I educate, the people I entertain. And I hold myself accountable for where I am in life because I have to be the first example of God. I'm the only God that some people will see, God in flesh. I'm the only righteous replica of God or of the Christ that some people will see until they achieve that themselves. You are the only righteous person that some people will encounter, or one of the few. So please have a mission, a vision statement for yourself and your family. Q&A. Yes, ask any question you desire. Eric says 13 is the number of Christ and his disciples. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, Mindful. Thank you. Great message. Bless you always. Thank you so much, Mindful. May the Creator bless you with abundance in love, abundance in joy, abundance in financial wealth, and abundance in health. Thank you so much for your blessing. Thank you. Michael says, you are a goddess. And you know, when I look at that word goddess, I see God essence. I have the essence of God abiding in me. Thank you so much, Michael. That means a lot to me. I receive that. Any questions, family? Hey, Kia, can I cash in the Trump bucks or are they fake? Well, it depends. Some people will see these bucks or coins. A lot of them may become very valuable because they are a commodity. They're a collectible. And collectibles and commodities become valuable over time because we assess them as valuable. Trump is the 45th president and 47th president. Some say 45th through the 47th. Yes. He is a very famous, well-known president. He's a billionaire. He is an actor and an entertainer. He's a politician. So those Trump coins have a value on them that we've placed on them because of that, number one. Secondly, some of them are valuable because some of those coins are gold plated. You have to see if they're 14 karat gold or 24 karat gold plated. Gold is valuable. I don't care if it's just an ounce, an inch of gold, it is valuable. So it depends on where you go and how we as a collective view and determine the value, what value we put on those. I don't know if now is a good time. But remember when Queen Elizabeth died, a lot of people went out and got Queen Elizabeth coins or silver coins or rounds with her image on it because her death made those coins more valuable. And usually certain coins, because of the value that people assess to them, when you trade them in, you'll get a higher return than other coins. So I would say it really depends on when you decide to turn them in, how much value we the people assess to those Trump coins or Trump backs, and how much gold and or silver is in them. Excellent question. Blessings to you too. Divine femininity is in the house. Gold equals divine masculine. Silver equals divine feminine. Yes, that's why gold symbolizes or is in alignment with the sun, masculine energy, and silver is symbolized by the moon, feminine energy. Silver will soon outperform gold. We've had a lot of masculine energy on the planet, a lot of sun energy, a lot of masculine energy. Gold is going to go up, and gold, as a matter of fact, is up, but silver is going to outperform gold. We need that feminine energy to flood the planet, and it is. Nin-Hersag, Nimna, the Anunnaki who seeded humanity here, according to Sumerian text, with her brothers Enki and Enlil, has returned. The divine feminine energies are flooding the planet because you can't keep hurting Mama. Mama is the planet. Mama is going to take care of her children, humanity, and other entities, animals that are here, plants that are here. Mama is getting rid of pornography. Mama is getting rid of sex trafficking, child trafficking, all this trauma, because Mama, planet Earth, Nin-Hersag or Nimna, whoever you call her, needs to flood the planet with feminine energy in order to balance all the masculine energy. So the so-called masculine energy, some of it is masculine, some of it is just evil wickedness that they attribute to masculinity that has nothing to do with the patriarch or masculine energy. The beings in power are evil. Thank you for the gold, ancestors that are coming through the screen. Thank you for the golden energy that's showering me and the soul family. I appreciate you and give you honor. The masculine energy was so strong, but these entities that were in power would only pollinate the planet with a lot of pollen, and they will only have masculine plants or male plants and not have the female plants that can catch all of that pollen. This is why a lot of people have allergies and asthma, because of all that pollen, all that semen, all that sperm, all that masculine energy going out into the atmosphere without the feminine energy taking it in. And you're not blooming the flowers, you're just sending all that, the seeds out and the pollen. The entities in power will also make sure that they will kill the feminine cows more so than the male cows. They create abortions. They take the womb of the women. They masculinize the women. They took the women out of the home. They really just wanted to tax that part of the population, the female. They did so much to the divine feminine. They made her hard. They made her angry. They made her work. So that now she's operating we're both male and female, but she's operating so much in her masculinity that she's forgotten how to be soft. She's forgotten how to be nurturing. She's no longer educating her children. She's no longer implanting values into her children. She's no longer nurturing her man and supporting him as he's going out to create the infrastructure and to build. So all this masculine energy that's flooding the planet has been harmful. On top of that, you have these so-called patriarchs that are not even human, teaching women how to be boastful, how to be, what I mean by boastful is like yelling and saying, I don't need a man, I can do everything on my own, and arrogant and harsh and fighting on television, because most of those entities that claim to be human are not human, and they're not even female. They present as female. Some of them are transgender, or they're other entities. So you have wickedness, toxicity, evil, and nefarious behavior that is masquerading as masculine energy that has flooded the planet. So all of that energy needs to be balanced out by the divine feminine. This is why you're going to see silver go up in value. That's one of the reasons. Silver is feminine energy. Silver is in alignment with moon energy. Remember, the moon affects a woman's cycle. It affects her emotions. That's why they call us loony or lunatics, especially when we have our periods or our menstruation. It bothers me that they did this, it's like they wanted to make us evil or crazy or whatever you call it, emotional, whatever, or loony when we're on our cycle. I don't think cycles are natural. In fact, they said before humanity was enslaved, women didn't have cycles. If you stop eating a whole lot of junk food and a whole lot of meat, especially the meat now that's not grass fed, that has a lot of hormones pumped, when you start reducing that, the pain that's associated with periods will start to decrease, and even your cycle will shrink from 7 or 8 days to 3-4 days until it goes away. Drink more water, eat less of the toxic meats that they're giving you. Eat more fruit, more living foods, more fruit, alive foods that's not been cooked to death, raw fruits and vegetables, especially fruit. Fruit, according to fruitarians, is the offering that the plants give us. Eat more living foods, more raw fruits and vegetables. And if you're going to eat meat, make sure it's raised properly, but more living foods, drink more clean water, and you will watch the pain that's associated with your period subside. And it might even go away. Thank you for the Cash App blessing. Silver will outperform gold because the feminine energy is flooding the planet as we're being liberated. Mama has returned in these ships that you see and her energy. And silver will outperform gold because silver is more rare than gold. Silver is actually a byproduct of many other minerals. Silver has more uses. Gold historically has been used as money, and gold has been used as jewelry. Some other things, but historically, those are the main purposes. Silver, on the other hand, is used as money, jewelry, utensils. You do have some gold utensils, but utensils. What else? Sterling silver, you have that. Silver is also used for industrial purposes. It is used in your car, your catalytic converter. Silver is used in your microwave oven, your refrigerator, stove, your washing machine, your dryer, your computer, your cell phone. We have silver receptors in our brain, so they have different tools and healing modalities that scientists use to cure or eliminate brain-eating amoebas. Silver is used in electric cars. Silver is used in solar panels. Silver is used in a lot of the technology that's been suppressed that's about to be released, such as your med beds. Silver is used in most of, if not all of, those suppressed technologies. So silver will outperform gold. Right now, the gold to silver ratio is about 100 to 1, meaning it takes 100 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. But historically, that has been 30 to 1. Pre-Bible, it was 3 to 1. And before the 3 to 1 ratio, it was 1 to 1. So if the gold to silver ratio, let's say it shrinks down to only 30 to 1, you would be able to buy an ounce of gold with 30 ounces of silver, whereby now it takes 100 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. If I were you, I would consider either gold or silver, but mainly silver. Unless you have a whole lot of wealth or a whole lot of savings, then it makes sense to put it in gold. But you can buy silver now while the gold to silver ratio is 100 to 1, and wait till that ratio shrinks and then buy gold. But it's up to you. Silver will outperform gold. Speaking of silver and gold, let's look at the gold and silver prices. It looks like gold has reached a new all-time high at $3,220 an ounce. That's almost $3,221. No, wait a minute, 3,222. It's almost 2,223 ounces, excuse me, dollars per ounce. Silver is up at $32 an ounce. It's going up. Gold has reached a new all-time high at $3,220 per ounce. Why is that happening? It's happening because countries are going back to gold and silver as money, even in the States. And I kept saying this when everybody was focusing on BRICS and said, oh, America's going to suffer because BRICS is not trading with the dollar. The dollar's going to lose value. Yes, it will, but America's going to suffer. I said, no, they're not, because states behind the scenes are reclaiming silver and gold by removing the state sales tax from the precious metals, thus saying that gold is no longer a commodity or collectible, but gold is money. The whole world is hurtling or rushing back to gold as money. And the article, even in this article, says that the Ukrainian war was the impetus or the catalyst for that. "46 states here in America have repealed or removed the taxes from the sales of precious metals, thus helping to restore gold and silver as money." They didn't have to do that again because the Constitution already defined the dollar as a fixed weight in silver. And the Coinage Act of 1792 said it attached the dollar to silver and gold. So we're good. Joey, you asked a question that hasn't been mentioned. Can you please ask it again? I apologize. Let me see where you are, Joey. Love covers a multitude of sins. Amen, Vicky. Be wise and benevolent. Trust the Almighty. Yes, we will have a years-long celebration from Memorial Day of 2025 to July 4th of 2026, a year-long celebration that will commemorate 250 years of independence for the United States Incorporated. I'm looking for more questions. I only see silver bars and silver coins, but Artavius wants to know, do they have silverbacks? Let me see. Have a look. I know they have gold backs or gold aurum, AURUM notes, but I don't see silver. Wait, buy silverbacks. Hold on. And I told you guys, yes, you can buy gold backs for as little as $3. Just look up gold aurum, AURUM online, or gold backs, and you will see that they have some. Gold backs are pure gold. It is 24 karat or 14 karat gold pressed onto a note, 0.999 gold that you can use to buy local goods and services. Good question, Artavius. I did look for it, and guess what I found? I just typed in silverbacks. Bullion Max is a online dealer that sells silverbacks. Dragon silverback notes. Oh, they're out of stock. Ooh, okay. Oh, this was new too. You might be able to order them. Oh, you can add it to the wish list. Man, that was an excellent question. Let me read this to you, Artavius. I'm going to take this off. Thank you for the Cash App blessing. Anybody, if you're benefiting from this and you desire to give to the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show so that I can continue my work, it's mucus, man. I got to get this out of my body. My Cash App is $ Mama Kia. That's MAMAKIA 13. $ Mama Kia 13. But I want to read this to you about silverbacks, Artavius. Bullion Max is an online wholesome metals dealership. The buzz around goldback notes is undeniable. See, I've been telling the people this a long time. I can't afford gold. Why are you always talking about gold? People are broke. You're just trying to make money. I was like, I am not trying. I am helping this whole family. You can buy gold RM notes for less than $3. When I was first talking about it, you can buy for $1 and some change. But the buzz around gold-backed notes is undeniable, showcasing the growing interest in accessible and affordable gold options. What truly distinguishes goldbacks is their unique status as voluntary local currency notes. Local currency notes where you can buy local goods and services. I added that part. The interest in similar silver products is now growing, opening the door for Dragon Silverback silver notes, a distinct offering that combines affordability with captivating designs on artistic notes. The widespread appeal of the silverback remains a constant in the market. Right now, you can secure one Dragon Silverback silver note online through Bullion Max, and there might be other dealers as well. Here are some highlights. It comes protected in a plastic currency sleeve. The silverback marks the debut of the Dragon Silverback Silver Note series. The silverback has an exquisite design detail that captivates the eye. It contains 1/1000th troy ounce of 0.99 pure silver. Family, we are going to change the trajectory of your bloodline here. Okay. It showcases a powerful dragon guarding a stash of silver bars and coins in the central design because dragons and snakes, this is Dr. Kia Pruitt speaking, have historically guarded wealth and health, which is why you see the serpent on the symbol for the medicine. But the snake historically guarded wealth. The snake energy and dragon energy are one and the same. Another feature is it features Valum's exclusive anti-varnish technology that's applied to the note. Please note that various years of issues are possible. Each silver note is a masterpiece in its own right and arrives individually packaged. The silverback silver notes are crafted using a method similar to goldbacks, resulting in a thin layer of silver nestled between polyester sheets. For added safeguarding, each silverback silver note is delivered with a protective plastic currency sleeve. So these are used for a distinct purpose. It says goldbacks cater to those seeking spendable forms of gold. On the other hand, silverbacks like these cater primarily to individuals who appreciate the artistic brilliance of the silver design, etc., etc. But to answer your question, yes, there are silverbacks. Let me put that in the description section for you. There are also online companies that sell bullion, coins, bars, and different denominations of them, of the gold coins and bars. If you're interested in maybe getting a lot of silver and gold and you don't necessarily want to go to your local dealer because you're looking to get a good price or getting the, what we call the best price, because when you go use online dealers, they can afford to sell it at a lower rate. Your local dealer may sell it for a slightly higher rate because they don't have the same bargaining power as some of your online dealers or wholesalers. The good thing about going to your local coin dealer is that you can take the silver and gold into your own possession, and it's good to have a good relationship with your local coin dealer because you might want to sell back some of your precious metals or sell it for whatever currency we're going to be using in the future, or for the United States dollar if you need it. The good thing about online dealers like my affiliate Miles Franklin is that they have the power to give you the lowest price in the industry. So if you're interested in Miles Franklin, you can give them a call at 952-929-7006, or you can send an email to info@milesfranklin.com and let them know that you heard about gold and silver from the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. But I would advise you to do what's best for you. I'm looking for more questions, family. I haven't heard any thing about redemption centers, I personally know that a lot of our banks, if not all of our banks, will be exchanged or turned into wealth management centers. And that as such, you will be educated on wealth management if you desire, and they will help you create trust. I don't know much about redemption centers. I don't necessarily talk about redemption centers. Some of my other guests do. So that's probably a question that's better poised for them. I only promote banks and wealth management centers because I know that banks had to be Basel III compliant, meaning they had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset. It also means that they had to recognize foreign currencies as tier 2 assets. And Basel III compliancy meant that these banks were situated to receive tier 2 assets, which are foreign reserve notes or foreign currencies. In alignment with that, I've shown you all articles and my video that says that banks met globally last year to make sure that they were prepared for currencies or for currency exchanges and to receive your foreign currencies. Banks met globally to ensure that they were prepared for currency exchanges. You go to the Dr. Kia Pruitt show. Let me show you that right now. That video was amazing. I went over so much information that's been scrubbed from the internet, but thankfully I had the presence of mind to actually read the articles and show you the articles, present the screen, and read it line by line so that you can see that I was telling you the truth before they scrub the articles. There's those articles now. You can go to the links that are in the description section of my video. They're gone, but luckily, again, I captured them and went over them in the video. So if you go to the Dr. Kia Pruitt show, at Dr. Kia Pruitt Official on YouTube or Dr. Kia Pruitt on rumble.com, and you go to the video section, you see video shorts, live, we're on live right now, posts in the store, but go to the video section, scroll down. You want to look at this that says become a billionaire during the greatest wealth transfer by buying foreign currencies. I'll talk about the Vietnamese dong, the Iraqi dinar, the Venezuelan bolivar, and the Zimbabwean zim, and why those currencies are important and how you could become a millionaire if you do certain things. I'm not even going to say this is for entertainment purposes only, because that's a lie. This is for education purposes, and this is to change the trajectory of your bloodline to make you wealthy, because people have done it before. Look up the Kuwaiti dinar and when it revalued, how people became millionaires and billionaires overnight. I met one. You want to watch that video, and you should watch. Where's the one? Here. Great news for currency holders, because I talked to you about in this video how banks met globally to determine their preparedness to receive what they call tier 2 assets. Tier 2 assets are foreign reserve notes or foreign currencies. Let me go ahead and click that for you and put that in the chat. It'll be in the description section for you. Banks met globally to make sure they were ready for currency exchanges or to receive tier 2 assets. Why? Banks, according to my video and the articles that I report on, need gold, the tier 1 asset, and foreign currencies to maintain the health of the banks. The articles go on to state that these banks need you in the foreign reserves or foreign currencies to ensure that they don't go bankrupt. In the event that there's some type of economic downturn that occurs, the banks will be okay because they have foreign currencies. Where are they going to get those foreign currencies from? From whom? From you. From you and me, family. So whether you believe this to be true or not, know that people during the Great Depression became wealthy by buying depreciated assets like silver and gold, like artifacts, like land, like foreign currencies. Let me know what you think about this. Remember in 1991, When the Kuwaiti dinar revalued, the people were exchanging their currencies in the dark because there was an electric outage there in Iraq. But the people in the know knew that the currency had been reinstated back to its pre-war value. So the people who bought the currency once it had been devalued through war waited till the Kuwaiti war was over, waited till America went back there, rebuilt the infrastructure, and waited till that new exchange rate was placed upon the dinar, the Kuwaiti dinar, and then they exchanged the currency and became very wealthy. Also remember or consider the video that I've shown you recently and through the years of President Donald Trump saying we have billions. What do you say, like 32 billion Iraqi dinars sitting in our banks right now? And the reason why we have billions of their money is because we made them pay us for protecting them during the war and during their crises. Thank you. You will be exchanging currencies in the banks or the wealth management center. In terms of redemption center, that may be what they're saying is a new name for the banks. I just don't use that name, darling. Silver does heal. This is why people like me and people in the know were taking colloidal silver during the global shutdown. And we were taking colloidal silver, colloidal gold, monoatomic silver, monoatomic gold, everything. I like that. Michael George says they are social engineering or programming the woman's mind with social low frequency, manipulating, gaslighting brain wave patterns to imbalance the ecosystem and the environment. Wow. Wow. We have to raise our frequencies as women because the ancients used to say society can progress no further than the morals and the values of the woman. Society can progress no further than a woman. Society can progress no further than the values of a woman, the morals of a woman, because the women are the ones that impart into the children. While the men are building, creating infrastructure, cleaning the water, doing the railroads, fighting the wars, we historically have been the ones that have imparted wisdom and knowledge in our children. We've taught them how to behave. We've imparted values. We've imparted family values, ancestral wisdom in the children. So if the women are not imparting those wholesome values, but we're imparting a negativity, or we're not imparting at all because we're too busy working and getting a bag or chasing men or chasing this and that, or getting so many degrees that we're forgetting our children. I'm not against college. I got college education. But if we're only doing that or out doing that and not focusing on the family, then society won't be able to progress as a society with good moral values. Okay? What is a society built upon? Communities, various communities. You have many communities creates or generates a society. Societies are built upon communities. Communities are built upon families. Families are built upon you, an individual. So if you want a thriving, healthy, wealthy society, that means the communities need to be thriving. The communities need to be wealthy. The communities need to be healthy. Well, what's a community but a conglomerate of families? Community can thrive if you have healthy, thriving, wealthy families. And it all starts with you. A lot of our communities are not whole because either the man's not home to provide the discipline and the structure and bring order to chaos, or the woman's not there in balance and harmony with the man to impart values in the children while she's holding up and taking care of her man. Shantina says, I agree with masculine energy is high and needs to be balanced out. I agree. We have a lot of masculine energy flooding the planet, a lot of masculine. Even when you see some of these fake women in sports or online or in entertainment, a lot of them are men masquerading as women. We've got to balance that out. When are we going to hit $50 silver? I'm ready to sell off that. Ryan says, it'll probably be soon. I don't know when, but we do see silver going up in value. Imagine Elon Musk or whoever is going to do it releasing all of this suppressed technology. Silver is going to explode and go through the roof. That's when we can see it explode. I don't know if it'll go to 50, but it certainly will explode. I love that. Monique says, I feel comfortable and powerfully confident. Let me also take a pause here to say that I got a call from my girlfriend in California, Sister Carly, and she told me, she was like, sis, tell me how to access the wallet in this message that you sent me. I was like, what wallet? She said, girl, I've been having a whole conversation with who I thought was you on Instagram. And she showed me the screenshots. Somebody has been stealing my image, my pictures, my messages, and creating fake Instagram pages, fake Facebook pages, fake YouTube channels, fake TikTok, fake social media platforms in my name with my image and my pictures to scam people out of money. I will never email you, text you, or call you. They've even said, call me. And it's not me. Whoever you're conversing with, it's not me. And tell you to set up a wallet for the quantum financial system and tell you to buy XLM and XRP, how to do it, tell you to send them money. And then when you try to access it or sell it, you can't, because these people are fake. They're fraudulent. They're liars, and they're using my image. And it's making me very angry. Please know that I would never ask you to open up a wallet. You don't have to create a financial or QFS wallet or account. Okay, that's going to be done for you. The bank accounts are now being changed into a new system. The whole financial system is changing behind the scenes. They might not even make an announcement that it has happened, but it will happen over time. Just like we're now mainly digital. Remember how that happened over time? People stopped accepting cash and started accepting cards for conveniency and giving you a convenient fee. And now they have the card on the wallet. You don't even have to carry a card. Everything is changing to a digital system. But I would encourage you, if you have digital assets, first buy you a house when you can and some land. And any digital assets, foreign currencies, or whatever, at some point, it might be a good idea to buy hard assets, gold and silver. That way you're not worried about, can my digital assets be stolen? I'm told that they will be protected. Right now, they seem to be protected. All I'm saying is, if you're concerned about your online or your digital assets, then when you get them, put them into hard assets like a business, land, home, commercial property, gold and silver, and whatever else you can think of. Copper even. Copper is something that doctors for a long time and so-called healers and metaphysicians have told people with joint pain to wear. And it raises your vibrational frequencies just like silver and gold, which is the real reason why they took silver and gold from you. But my point here is people are masquerading as Dr. Kia Pruitt to take your money, okay, to lie to you and scam you. And it's not me. Please do not buy into it. Please, please, please. Only trust the people you know, call the people you know. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt here. You can see me on live. It's one of the reasons I'm going to go off social media. I'm really tired of it. I love what I do to educate and help the soul family, but I don't like the part where people can use your image and your name to scam people, because this is my brand. My whole brand is liberating and inspiring and encouraging the soul family all over the planet. And you have made me relevant. You have given me a platform. You have given me an ear. You have aligned with my purpose and helped me to become the powerful entity that I am, because you confirmed the gifts that God gave me and you affirmed them. So thank you so much, Soul Family. I appreciate you. I love you. I am very grateful for you. I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for your energy. I'm grateful for your the value you place in me. I'm grateful for your confidence in the information that I give you. And I do my best to make sure that I not only give you information, but I show you sources that supports my claims. I'm also grateful for any cash or money that you send me through Cash App, through PayPal, however, through the chat. Thank you so much. I am very grateful for you, because without you, I do not matter. We're all one. We are one family. We all come from source. We all will go back to source, and we all have source abiding in us. We're all interconnected. So-called humans, galactics, trees, flowers, all plants, animals, insects, we're all one. And even when your body so-called dies, it disintegrates into the earth, and it feeds the entities that are in the earth, the insects. It's the cycle of life. So I just wanted to tell you as an aside that there's somebody masquerading as Dr. Kia Pruitt. I also desire to get off social media so I can focus on my personal life. Social media can be distracting. And when I think about a relationship with a companion or romantic so-called partner or companion, my desire is to use my energy and time to build or create what we desire for our family, our community, and for society at large. We want to create gardens. We're going to create gardens. We're going to create houses. We're going to create businesses. And my energy and time will be focused in that direction, as well as focused into my companion. And it's important for me to not have my energy and my time divided. So at some point I would get off social media. And although I'm not influenced by guys that send me like DMs. I've been getting DMs and attention all my life. So I'm not one of those people that need it. I don't crave it. I don't have to have it. I know who I am. I know I'm God. I love who I am. I know I'm beautiful. I know it. I walk like it. I act like I make good decisions. So I don't need the validation from a lot of men, but it can be off-putting for your companion if they see men constantly sending messages in your inbox or whatever. So I'm not saying I'm leaving social media for now, but I'm saying at some point I'm going to focus on family, community, and humanitarian work and philanthropy. Jackie asks, why are so many articles indicating that med beds are a miracle cure that doesn't exist? Med beds actually do exist. You saw them in some movies. Michael Jackson had a med bed. It's just a technology that you lay in or sit in that detects ailments in your body, and it cures them. We actually have precursors to med beds or technology that does that right now, scans the body. You can go to the Med Center, they have it. It scans the body and it detects certain ailments and it tells you what's going on in your body. And then the staff will show you herbs and different things that you can use, colloidals, monoatomics, different metals that you can use, and all type of different things and meditations that will address those ailments. So that's one place you can get something that's like a med bed. It's called the Med Center Chicago. Let me see if I can find it. Med Center Chicago. And I think Chief Mack also was in an energy center that he's told you, many of you all about, that has a technology similar to the med bed. So the information about med beds are very, very credible. So what I would do is I will look for somebody, family, that can come and talk about med beds so that we can see that this is real. And people have said that they've actually been released. Some say only to wealthy people. I don't know, but it will be public. Med beds will be public for the whole world. Again, they detect your ailments in your body and they immediately address those ailments in your body. When I say address, I mean they cure them. They heal them. Also, I know Chief Mack wants to come on at some point to talk to you about patches that you can place on your body that supposedly eliminate waste and toxins in your body and detoxify your system. Great question. Shantina asks, how much currency should we invest in to become a millionaire? You've been teaching about, I'm ready. I've been ready. I started investing in different currencies as you suggested. That's wonderful. Congratulations. You are a wealthy person, Shantina. Wealthy woman. My sons study economics. One was a real estate broker who studied economics. Another is an economist. And they both taught me that you only invest in what you can afford. So how much you should invest in, however much you can afford. Look at your budget, determine how much you can afford and how much you're willing to lose in the event that it doesn't revalue expeditiously. So only invest in what you can afford and only invest in what you understand. Okay. And what I mean, or understand or overstand. Do your research first to make sure you have a good comprehension of your investment, knowing that all investments are influenced by politics, votes, elections, tariffs, and economic markets. All investments are influenced by those. You got to know that. Study your investment and only invest in what you understand or overstand, and only invest in what you can afford. Study while you're studying these currencies what the rate was before war or before sanctions, okay? Because that is the rate that the currency would likely be reinstated to, okay? So that, let's say the Iraqi dinar, the rate was made, let's say $3.25 before war and before there were sanctions on Iraq. And let's say the dinar right now is only like 15 cents to $1 or something like that, or 0.000015 to $1. Well, it's going to be reinstated to its pre-war value because Iraq is now what the transportation hub of the world as of April 1st, because the war is over, because sanctions are being lifted, and because all countries have agreed to return to the gold standard and to use their own country's currencies backed by gold. And it always happens that after war, the infrastructure is up, the GDP goes up, everything's being rebuilt, everything goes back to normal. The trading now and alliances have been created, so the country's currency is being reinstated. It will at least be reinstated to its pre-war value, but take into account inflation. It'll probably be more than the $3 and some change that was pre-war. Take into account the inflation and take into account the gold standard. So consider the Iraqi dinar might have been $3.25 to our $1 before war and sanctions. At the very least, it will be reinstated to that. Multiply whatever currency you get. Say you got $10,000. Say you got a 25,000 Iraqi dinar note. Multiply that by $3 and $3.25. Okay. At the least, very least, because we haven't given account for inflation and the gold standard. The gold standard or precious metals backing the currency will make the currency more valuable. And we already know that all countries across the world repatriated their gold and artifacts back to themselves from the Vatican. And we know that countries have discovered rare earth minerals. They're doing a lot of mining now. They're making contractual agreements with China and other nations to mine the gold that's underground. And we already know that a lot of these nations are oil rich or resource rich all over the world. So invest in what you think is enough to make your family wealthy or make you okay or do all the things you want to do based on your research, based on what those countries' currencies were before war and before sanctions. So that is what the country's currencies will at least be reinstated to. That's how you know. And only invest in what you can afford, because it makes no sense or little sense to go hungry or to take from your children's stomachs to become wealthy in the future. So what you can do is look at your budget, say, you know what, this is my budget, how much I spend on food, blah, blah, blah. But I can take a little from here. I don't have to go out this weekend, or I don't have to get my nails done. I can do them, this week, or I don't have to go to that concert. Or just look at what you can sacrifice and put it into an investment, or look at what you've allotted for the investments. That was a superb question. Only invest in what you know through research, and only invest in what you can afford. What's going on with our country? I don't know. Adrian, can you be a little more specific? Right now, we're going through tariff wars, which really means that countries are sitting at the table with Donald Trump to discuss how we're going to do business with one another. Because before the IRS was created, the way countries made money was by putting taxes on their imported goods, or goods that we allowed to come into our country. But we don't need most of their goods. This is why they're exposing all the handbags, Louis Vuittons, and all this stuff that people are paying $5,000 for one bag, and saying they're made in the same factory as a $10 bag. They just have a label that says Louis Vuitton on it. It's not worth $5,000. It's made in the same factory by the same children in the same countries that exploit cheap labor, these Louis Vuitton and name brand things, as non-name brand. All this is being exposed during these tariff wars. So again, before the IRS, or before the Internal Revenue, before the people were taxed, countries were taxed for doing business with us, or for allowing, or for importing their stuff, their goods into our country. Now we're sitting down at the table saying, if you want your goods to come into our country, you want us to trade with you, and you want us to not tax you, or to have small taxes, you're going to have to take all these taxes off of the goods that are imported from America into your country, because the people in power were not taxing these countries for doing business with us, while they were taxing us for our imported goods, and while the people in power were taxing the people through the Internal Revenue Services. This is why President Trump said on the campaign trail, and as soon as he came in, I'm going to get rid of the Internal Revenue Service and stop taxing the people and start taxing these countries and these companies for doing business with us. But I posed the question, why do we need goods from China, from Indonesia? Why do we need food from Taiwan? This is a good time for us to bring manufacturing right back home. What's going on in our country is that we are experiencing a revolution where America is about to become wealthy again by taxing these countries that's doing business with us, and by forcing them to remove the taxes, or at least some of the tax, on our imported goods. And we're becoming wealthy through the wealth fund that Trump created through executive order, called the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And in our country, you have more than 46 states, according to the article that I showed you that was published by the Sound Money Defense League, that have reclaimed silver and gold as money by repealing taxes from the sales of precious metals. And in this country, you see people standing up by suing governors, like the people in Kentucky, and a gold company, online company, suing Governor Andy Beshear for putting taxes on precious metals, when they had explicitly stated through laws and legalities and bills that they passed that you can no longer tax gold and silver in Kentucky. So people are standing up and taking over, taking their power back. Bullion Max is where I showed you the articles you can buy silverbacks from, but I'm sure you can buy them from other places. I don't like to conjecture when exactly we will see the dinar, the dong, and other currencies revalue or be reinstated, but it looks good for this year. It looks good. We know we're going to have a huge celebration between Memorial Day and July 4th. So Joy wants to know, do I think it'll happen before July 2025? I don't know. I'm preparing for it to happen. I'm living, though, and making good decisions and creating humanitarian projects and helping people before it happens. So I'm living like it's happening right now. But exactly when, I don't know. That was an excellent question. NESARA is here. NESARA, the National Economic Security Reformation Act, and the global version of that, the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act, which was signed into law in 2001, is a law that was passed to ensure that the people have been compensated for all the nefarious banking practices and government practices that enslaved humanity and the planet. It was passed because a group of farmers took the United States Incorporated and the central banking system, the Federal Reserve Central Banking System, to court because the banks were putting pressure on the farmers to take out loans with high interest rates, and they were forcing them to sow Monsanto seeds and doing things with their cattle if they wanted the loans from the banks. And so the farmers took them to the highest courts, the world banks, and the courts determined that, in fact, the central banks had committed fraudulent actions against the farmers, but they've also done it to we, the people all over the planet, by making us take out loans, which they never were supposed to do, and making us pay interest. All that is unconstitutional. So the courts determined that at the proper time, the farmers will be paid out first to compensate them for all of the nefarious activities that the banks had been doing to them. And then we, the people, all over the world, will be paid out. Another part of NESARA said that all debt will be wiped away all over the planet. All loans, bank loans will be forgiven. Another part of NESARA said that the IRS will be done away with. Well, what is Trump doing now? He's doing away with the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, which is why he halted the hiring of those 87,000 IRS workers that were supposed to be hired and that were supposed to shoot Americans if they didn't pay their taxes. They were supposed to force us. Trump halted that. And he put the duties of the IRS underneath the United States Treasury Department, because the only entity that can deal with money is the Treasury Department. You can even call the IRS if you can get an agent and ask them, is the Treasury Department in control of the IRS? And they'll tell you yes, because the United States Treasury Department handles all the money, according to our republic. So the republic will be restored. IRS will be done away with. FBI will be done away with. CIA, all government agencies will be done away with. That's why the Supreme Court overturned the Chevron doctrine. That's why DOGE or the Department of Government Efficiency and Elon Musk were tasked to eliminate the government, to shrink the government, because that's a part of NESARA and GCR. That's why countries all over the world have joined BRICS or the Shanghai Corporation and have decided through Project Sandman and other agreements to stop trading with the dollar and use their own local currencies for trade. Countries' currencies backed by gold. That's why gold is now recognized as a tier 1 asset. According to banks, banks had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset. Banks had to recognize tier 2 assets. That's why banks met globally to determine their preparedness to receive your currencies, because they need them to ensure the health of the bank and to ensure that they won't go bankrupt. All of this is NESARA and GCR in action, happening right before your face. That's why the Supreme Court said that state-sponsored banks can now operate independently from the Federal Reserve Central Banking System and issue out their own gold-backed currencies. All of this is NESARA and GCR, family. Again, it's why DOGE was put in place. It's why all this exposure is happening, showing you the trillions of dollars that's been gone to pay dead people, trillions of votes that's been happening from dead people, trillions of dollars going to pay people at the highest place, in the highest places in the government. All of this exposure is NESARA and GCR. Is NESARA and GCR coming, you ask? Trump Q17? NESARA and GCR are here. Look over the points of NESARA and you'll see the proof that it's here. This is my Facebook page. It's DRKIA, Dr. Kia, DRKIA space PRUITT. I'm going to show you something. I have a friend who's part of my group that had almost about $140,000 of student loans canceled recently. We've been hearing testimonies of this since the Trump administration. More proof of NESARA. 100% of her debt or student loans were discharged. I say, glory, congratulations, sister. She says, thank you, universe, for always conspiring in my favor. She knows that NESARA is real. She talks about it. She knows what's going on. And by talking about it and saying, I know this is going to happen, she manifested it quicker than most people. That's why I say stay on a high vibrational frequency, because when you know something to be true and you align yourself with people that report the good news and you so-called believe or know, or you resonate with that frequency, you will bring it into your reality quicker than most people. This is why this is happening for some and not others yet. It will happen for everybody. March 26, 2025, United States Department of Education recently determined that your loans to attend the University of so-and-so will be discharged. We discharge 100% of the loans listed to be below. As a result, these loans have no remaining balance to be paid. See that? I also have a girlfriend that had $500,000. That's $500,000 of debt completely erased. It's happening. This is NESARA. Even BRICS is NESARA and GCR happening. No, I don't believe that they're going to collect taxes on dinar. When you read the articles, they're doing away with capital gains taxes. They're doing away with, we're doing away with the IRS. All taxes will be eliminated. This is a non-tax event. The only tax, according to some NESARA experts, such as Dr. Kia Pruitt, that we will have is tax on large ticketed items. And that's the only tax we might have. It makes more sense to eliminate all taxes. But that's the only one that I'm hearing that we might have. The gold that's on the gold RM notes and gold backs are real 0.999, 14 karat gold and 24 karat gold. Yes, it is real. I don't know about the delirium. Another expert might be able to help you with that. Tamaria, thank you. Tamaria says AppMex, AppMex.com. AppMex has dragon silver notes. So it's not just bullion, the bullion company. Thank you for the Cash App gift, family. I appreciate you so much for all the financial blessings that you give me through my Cash App, Mama Kia 13. Thank you for the dragon silver note information. Arlene, you says your question. Can you post it one more time? Silver bars are beautiful, Bert. I love them. And if I feel my frequency going down, I might put a silver coin on my chest. If I have a headache, I'll put it on my head, or I'll sleep with it under my pillow. And I just personally feel better. Hi, TMS. You want to know more about currencies? I have that. I showed you the video that says become a billionaire. I talk about currencies in that video, and in a video that says great news for currency holders. I'll put them in the description section of my Rumble channel and my YouTube channel. Just like the medbeds, it said that it's a miracle that doesn't exist. Oh, wow. Well, it exists when you know that it exists. You'll bring it into your reality. Whatever you think about and focus on is what magnifies. Couple that with the moment you make up your mind, the universe conspires to assist you. Put that with faith without works is dead, being alone. Put all those together. The more you think about and focus on is what manifests and multiplies. I'm thinking about focusing on my healing. I'm focusing on the technology that will cure. Think about it. Focus on it. Research it. Look into it. Listen to the people that talk about it. Know it exists and look for it. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Prepare your mind for it. Know it exists. Study about it. Speak about it. Talk about it. Think about it. And the moment you make up your mind, the universe will conspire to assist you and it will make it a reality. All these things. Faith without works is dead, being alone. I don't just believe med beds are real. I know it to be real. I've researched it. I've thought about it. I've talked about it. I've meditated on it. I've seen visions of it. I've written out visions. I've written my testimony. I've spoken my testimony. I've drawn a picture of what I look like healed and cured. I know that this is happening. And the universe will make that happen for you. You have power. Make it work. Operate in it. To sell your silver coins, you can go to your local coin shop. Look up local coin shop or coin shop near me or numismatics near me, the collectors, the numismatics, like collectibles. NUMISMATICS, numismatics near me or coin shop near me. You can sell your coins or your silver and gold back if you need it. I sound sick. Adrian, I was saying to the Soul family, I've been eating cheese. My body is not used to cheese anymore because I don't eat cheese. I'm a vegan, but I ate some cheese. I've been eating cheese. And really, I just ate a lot of cheese in my macaroni last night. So I'm forming mucus. My body does not recognize mucus anymore. It doesn't like it, especially not a lot. So I can hear it in my nostrils and in my throat. I'm clearing it out by drinking water and tea. My body doesn't like it. As you all know, mucus is the foundation of many diseases. So I got to get it out of my body. So I'm fasting and only drinking water and teas today. It's also why I'm hoarse, because my body doesn't like mucus. I don't think anybody's body really likes an excessive amount of mucus. The currency, all countries' currencies will likely go or revalue at the same time, as all these countries have stopped trading with the dollar and they're meeting with Trump. Trump said, and I showed you the speech a couple of days ago, all countries have conceded or called him and said they're willing to come to the table. So it was an agreement that all these countries' currencies will be equal. They'll be one-to-one with each other. Revalue. So revalue means they'll assess a new value to the country's currencies. Yes, very soon. I like the word reinstatement because they're reinstating the country's currencies value back to its pre-war value, or back to the value that it was before war, before sanctions. And that value will be assessed not only by what it was before, but also it will be based on the resources that the countries have. So that all these countries' currencies will be backed by the resources that the countries have. Some countries have already stated, like Iraq has been talking about revaluing. They said in 2022, we're going to revalue our currency, our IQD, against the dinar. Then I've had videos of them actually saying we've already revalued our currency. Then people have come forward and said they saw it on the Forex and then it changed. So my point is, many countries' currencies have already been revalued and have already been reinstated, but it hasn't been publicly or officially announced yet. I don't know that one will happen sooner than the other. I was always told it will happen at the same time. But you do have some people say there's a first basket and a second basket. What I've heard is the first basket is the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnamese dong, the Zimbabwean zim, and the Venezuelan bolivar. I don't know that for a fact. I have heard that two things. There are two different baskets, two different times, but I've also heard that they'll all revalue at the same time. I say prepare. Just be prepared, because we don't know the time or the hour when it would be known that this happens. Because when the Kuwaiti dinar happened, they said it wouldn't happen. They had just made it, that people had just been saying it would never happen. And then you had a power outage in Kuwait. And while the people were kind of thrown off because of a power outage, the electric grid was down. People were in the banks actually exchanging their currency, and they knew a rate had been placed on the currency, the Kuwaiti dinar, and they became wealthy. Will tariffs or XRP have an effect on any currency's value? My knowledge is that XRP and the digital platforms will actually help in the trading of the currencies, but will it impact the revaluing of the currencies? I don't know. Tariffs, absolutely. Tariffs, yes, will impact. I don't know about XRP. Tariffs, as a matter of fact, will have an effect on currencies revaluing. And I showed you all the other day that, and I said in the beginning of this podcast, that when Vietnam announced that they were removing all tariffs on imported American goods, that will increase a high demand for the Vietnamese dong. And I told you the economic principle is high demand, low supply. So since it increases the demand for the Vietnamese dong, that means that the supply of the dong will decrease, which means they have to reinstate or raise the value of the Vietnamese dong. So yes, absolutely, the tariff issue will affect the currency rate. And in order to pay the taxes or the tariffs on your goods that are being imported to America, you have to revalue your currency. You can't even pay the tariffs because your currency is worthless. Great question. I don't know about currencies devaluing in 2025 or 26 because countries have repatriated their gold and artifacts and precious metals back from the Vatican. Countries have decided to trade with their currencies. Countries need the rare earth minerals and the precious metals to back their currencies, and all countries agreed to stop trading with the dollar and trade with their own local currencies. In order to trade with their own local currencies and pay tariffs and do business with all these countries, you have to revalue, not devalue your currencies. And another part of this golden era or NESARA GCR is that we will have global peace, no more wars. So they're not going to devalue, in my assessment, according to my research, the currencies. Right, Jackie. No, not devalue. Yes, but revalue. Yes. Let's see. You've been watching me? I never comment. Oh, Jamie Armstrong says, Dr. Kia, I love watching you. I never comment, but I enjoy your energy and knowledge. I did have a question. I have a good amount of silver, but many need to sell it to survive in this 3D reality. Any suggestions? If you need to sell some of your silver in order to survive, you have to do what you have to do. Maybe with some of that money that you get back from selling the silver, you might consider buying a Vietnamese dong note that is less than $10 or a lower denomination of a currency. But at the end of the day, you have to survive. Perhaps you can diversify your portfolio and only invest in what you can. So you might have to sell some of your silver bullion in order to eat or pay bills or whatever. Maybe a small fraction of that you can buy a silverback, which was just a couple dollars. Or maybe you can buy a gold back, which is $3. Or maybe you can buy a lower denomination of a currency that will revalue over time. So I would say definitely survive. You got to eat. You got to live, pay your bills, and then whatever left over, invest, even if it's just a little bit. That was a superb question. I have a joint bank account. Will I happen to open my own bank account to be recognized with the QFS system? That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that question. If it were me, let's see. I guess it depends on how do you want your funds to be commingled continuously. I mean, some couples, yes, it doesn't matter. If you desire an individual account, then do what you have to do. I think that's a personal choice. Yes, as of now, the last time I checked, the dinar was still considered an exotic currency, meaning that it was a collectible or a commodity and not yet seen as as a revalued or reinstated asset. But it will be taken off that list, whether officially or unofficially, covertly or overtly. But we can see the signs because I remember I showed you the video. You can look on the Dr. Kia Pruitt section where I talk about the Iraq becoming the transportation hub of the Middle East and the transportation hub of the world. That article says that the Iraqi dinar now will become a currency that's in high demand. There will be a high demand for that currency. So that means that they're going to have to revalue it. And it won't be considered exotic. It will become considered the national currency of that country or that nation. Gold and silver in America are considered money here in our country. Gold and silver are considered money all over the world. I don't consider gold and silver a foreign currency. A foreign currency is typically a currency or a monetary means of exchange for that particular nation, like Iraqi dinar, Vietnamese dong, et cetera, a currency that country uses in exchange for goods and services or to pay for goods and services and pay taxes or whatever. Gold and silver are known universally as money. Universally as money. Biblically, universally. And that's why King's World said that the world is rushing towards gold and silver as money. It doesn't say that it's foreign currency. It just calls it money. This article and the Constitution for our Republic and merchants all over the world just recognize gold and silver as money. So I don't call it a foreign currency. I call it money, just money. But I think that's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking it. Yes, there are people selling I know people are selling junk silver, which is called constitutional silver. Junk gold or constitutional gold, I don't know. I would go to my local coin dealer and ask them. So Google coin dealer near me and talk to them. Have a conversation with the dealers there. They're very educated, very knowledgeable, especially the people that own the company. Ask them about junk silver, junk gold, what the value is it worth happening? And I would say yes. Do I feel like we should have a trust before our appointments? I say it's a good idea to have a trust before your appointment. Just know that trust, all trusts right now are attached to the IRS or the Internal Revenue Service, and they have an EIN number. Even a foreign trust has a foreign EIN number. So it is good to do for now, especially considering that you might not be here tomorrow and you want your assets to be protected and you desire to be able to state from the grave or from wherever you are, from the ancestral realm, to determine where your assets go, how they're to be divided. So that's a personal preference, but just know that all trusts right now will have a foreign, either a foreign EIN number or a national EIN number. That's all attached to the IRS. In the very near future, the IRS or Internal Revenue Services will go away, and you will have a trust that is called a common trust, a common law trust, an irrevocable, a non-revocable or irrevocable common law trust that is not attached to an EIN number, or some people call it a natural trust. You will have a common law trust or a natural trust by the time we go to the banks. If you have one now, it's probably not common law because all trusts are attached to the EIN. So that's up to you to protect your assets. If you want to protect your assets right now, and just in case you go off the scene, you want to determine where those assets go, then that would be a good idea. If you desire to wait, then know that you're going to have a common law or a natural trust or a constitutional trust, however you see it, that's not attached to at the IRS. I hear that they're going to lop off zeros. They could lop off the zeros from the dinar and from the zim, from any currency, but it's still going to be very valuable. They've already done it to the bolivar. They've lopped off zeros. Remember the first notes were higher in value. Then they have the newer notes that lopped off the zeros, but their value is the same. Jeff says, yes, these Venezuelan Bolivar are vibrating in my safe. Oh, we've been here for almost 3 hours. I'm sorry. S. Coop says they have AI that anyone can access to steal your voice. Wow. It's been a long time since you've seen me with my afro. Thank you, More Money. I haven't had an afro since 2018. And she's back. Yes, it's my real hair, see? And if it were straightened, it'd be very long, but I just felt like wearing the fro again. I like that it stretches out to the sun because, your hair is an extension of your central nervous system. And it's like antenna reaching out to the sun and to the ethers to receive information from the ancestral realms, from the sun, from the ethers. And those messages come from these antenna into your being. I love it. Yes, he says Citibank is exchanging IQD, and you can order the IQD or Iraqi dinar as long as you have an account with them. But the rate is still low. Oh, good. You talked to them the other day. That tells me a lot. Yeah, the rate is still low because the rate can really be reassessed overnight. I'm going to have to bring out these videos that I showed you where dealers were actually sending people texts, emails, and messages, phone calls telling them that they were waiting on the United States Treasury Department because at any time these currencies were going to revalue. And they were saying that if they revalue and you placed an order, you can still come directly to those dealers, or they'll send it to you expeditiously. But they were saying we're on notice by the United States Treasury Department that these currencies can revalue at any time. I did do a video on that, but I'll bring it back out. I'll repost it and I'll tell you that's a repost so you don't get mad at me and think it's new, okay? Thank you. So that is it, family. I've been here. As Coop says, I look like the amazing Diana Ross. Thank you. Does that age me, girl? We've been around for a while, huh? So that's it, family. I've been on for a long time, almost 3 hours. I hope I said something that was informative. Please look on my YouTube channel. You'll see a lot of videos. My recent videos about currency exchange, becoming a billionaire, banks being ready, all those are useful. Or you can go to my Rumble channel to inform you about currency exchanges and about buying depreciated assets. I have videos, about NESARA and GCR. I have videos about how to live or operate outside of the jurisdiction of the United States Incorporated. I have videos about family, wealth, and legacy, because that's what I do. Having said that, I appreciate your time, your energy, your exchange in the chat. I appreciate the information you send me, the intel you provided here. Please let the family know some of the things or assets they should invest in, where they can invest in, and any advice that you would like the family to know. Put it in the chat or put it in the description section, or you can just call each other. I'm getting calls now and text messages, and I'm also getting cash apps. Thank you so much for the cash app as well. My cash app is $ Mama Kia 13. That's $ MAKIA 13. May the Most High, or the Creator, or Source, bless you with an abundance of wealth, with an abundance of health and prosperity, long life, and peace. I appreciate you as well. Hit the like button. Our soul family is saying, I love you all so much. Thank you for saying you love my hair. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope I've said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Good night, family, or good day. Go and make this a great day. Peace. I love you. Bye-bye. And you are more than welcome. I love you more. Amira says, I'm not impressed with your hairstyle. You can do better. I'm God. I do as I please. Peace.